You're listening to the Apple Insider Podcast.
Welcome to amazing episode 81 of the Apple Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Marks, and joining me is the inestimable Mikey Campbell, editor of AppleInsider.com. Mikey.
What's going on?
How are you, man?
Pretty good.
You are in the sunny paradise of Hawaii.
I am.
Is it beautiful?
To be expected. And
When you live in paradise, it gets boring, huh? Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot to talk about here, and I'm going to start off by telling our listeners about some deals that are available to them. Our handsome listeners can snap up a 1.3 gigahertz 12-inch MacBook for $999 this week at B&H, one of our kind sponsors of the Apple Insider website. Or you can pick up the standard 2015 13-inch Air for $799. Or, and this is my favorite, the 128 gig 12.9-inch iPad Pro Wi-Fi is marked down to $849 with free shipping and expedited shipping and no tax outside of New York. We will have all the details available in the show notes. Feel free to take advantage of them. If you're in the market for a MacBook or an iPad Air, this could be your time. So, first of all, I'm going to start off with one story that I know no one's waiting to hear about, but let's make it quick. So, one of the great things about Apple is their concern with protecting their users' security, privacy, and data integrity. Really, you know, the Notes app is encrypted, so that if you are one of those people that puts all of your passwords in one note in Notes, it is encrypted, right?
Which you should not do, but
you probably ought not to do, but at least Apple's looking out for you if you are one of the people that does that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And iMessage is encrypted end to end. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And FaceTime is encrypted.
Yeah. Actually, I believe was it iMessage was the first one that they actually implemented end-to-end encryption?
Right. WhatsApp and Signal.
Yeah.
And some of the, Signal was around slightly before.
No, I mean Apple.
Yes, Apple was the first of Apple. But there are other end-to-end encryption chat applications out there as well.
Yeah, WhatsApp and also Facebook now, right?
Well, Facebook owns WhatsApp.
Right, but I think
so
WhatsApp did theirs, and then Facebook borrowed it a couple, whatever months later after they bought it. Or something.
That. So France's Interior Minister on Thursday announced plans to meet with the German counterpart and tackle the issue of encrypted messaging apps, which he argues are preventing intelligence agencies from fighting terrorism.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you know where I don't know if you know where I stand on this, but
make it clear for me and for our magnificent listeners exactly where you stand on this.
It's a free market we operate in, and I don't think it's the responsibility of private enterprise to make it easier for the government to do their job just because they can't do their job, which is to, snoop, I guess, which is, kind of a pejorative, but I mean, it is what they do. They snoop on certain conversations, and to make everyone's messaging app, email app, communications, whatever, less safe just so they can do their job more effectively is not the right answer. I think.
Okay. I'm going to take, first of all, the position of what I think is the slightly opposite position here, and that is just that France has been hit with a number of attacks. Would you agree?
No, I don't agree. Of course I don't.
No. Facts are facts, right? France has been hit with a number of attacks, and this is not a good thing, correct?
Definitely not.
You don't support these attacks, do you?
Nope.
Okay. Mostly during these attacks, people arranging these attacks communicate in ways that are completely unencrypted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Historically, it's mostly completely unencrypted. However, in one of the recent incidents, it appears to be that one of the attackers communicated with other people using Telegram, which is a messaging app that is end-to-end encrypted.
Mm-hmm.
right? And so this is the first one that I know of where end-to-end encryption actually plays a role, and people are calling for it to be intercepted or made less secure so that intelligence agencies can do their work. In all of the other examples that I know of, these things have taken place and people call for the end-to-end encryption, even though encryption played no role.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because these attackers, they're sophisticated. I mean, they're not, for the most part, in the way that they communicate, because they use consumer technology, which itself is becoming more and more sophisticated. And, short of, stockpiling or sending out your lackey to the local Wi-Fi bar and hoarding emails a la Bin Laden, they don't need to do that anymore. Do you remember when was it? I think it was the Paris attacks, when they were talking about a terrorist communicating via in-game chat on like PS4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something, that is obviously not encrypted, but it doesn't need to be obscured because it's just impossible to, well, not totally impossible, but it's extremely hard to track everyone's in-game chats. And, the logistics of it is just prohibitive. So, I mean, the point is that they'll find a way to do it. They'll find a way to communicate, whether, is it the government's job to keep locking down ways that they can communicate until, when does it end? Until we can't communicate at all? I mean, of course, that's an over-exaggeration, but I'm not sure if, in this case, breaking the end-to-end encryption or allowing a golden key for that is the right answer, because, once that happens, what's stopping the terrorists from stepping over to another app or another mode of communication?
Well, clearly not a whole lot. But the other issue is that you named the words golden key, right?
Yeah.
And once such a key exists, it is impossible to keep it secured.
Yeah.
Right? You can keep things quiet or secret for a time, but you can't keep them secret indefinitely, because Microsoft has a golden key that governs the secure boot of Windows, right? Their core operating system, their core product, and the thing upon which they built their whole empire, right?
Yep.
The golden key escaped into the wild, didn't it?
It did.
How apocalyptically bad is that for Microsoft?
The ramifications they're pretty extreme. But
good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's possibly one of the worst nightmares that the folks over at Redmond.
People are not enjoying themselves over this one right now. This is going to be a big problem for them. They're going to deal with it, of course, somehow, but it's not a good plan. And so if you have a golden key that unlocks encrypted communications, that doesn't get put back in a box. Once that's out, it's out.
Right. And it's the same thing with Apple's system. They specifically designed theirs not to have, the said golden key, but the government, or the U.S. government, was, moving towards that. They were moving towards getting a process in which they could essentially kind of slap together a golden key for iMessage communications.
Yeah.
Something that they of course would have and would apply on a case-to-case basis, but not something that would unlock everything all at once, but they could selectively use the selective golden key, I guess you could say.
Right. Now, the FBI, as we talked about 2 weeks ago, they want to restart the encryption debate.
Shocking.
I know. Shocking if true. People need to know how to back off of something when it's not going to work for them. Of course, people in government never do, but it's frustrating that we're still having this after it's been demonstrated repeatedly that math doesn't work that way. Math doesn't work the way that he wishes it did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. We're talking about Comey here, and he's not a.
Come on, spit it out.
Well, he's not a. I don't know. I mean, he's a bureaucrat at heart, and this is what he does. Bureaucrats, this is what they do. So I'm not surprised that he's attempting to bring up this subject again, and I'm sure he'll broach it again in the future if this upcoming attempt fails. But when it comes to like OPSEC and all that stuff, they need a more cogent argument. They need something with substance, and maybe they should look internally to what kind of programs they can come up with, or maybe even have a little cross agency cooperation. I know the NSA does not want to share their very valuable secrets, but in the name of national security, it might be a path that we could go down.
Interesting. Well, if you want to learn more about OPSEC or operational security, one of the resources that you can use is the Grug, and that's at TheGrugq. He's a Twitter user. He has a GitHub account that he uses as his blog, and he publishes a number of interesting things about OPSEC and how to both analysis on other people's OPSEC failures as well as what it means to try and figure out how to have good operational security. And I strongly put that out there just because it's good reading.
Indeed.
I want to stop talking about encryption for a moment. I want to move on to something a little more interesting. And I mean that in the best way. Latest pictures show an alleged iPhone 7 in space black, plus models, or plus-sized models, as it were, with and without a smart connector.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
You saw this post on AppleInsider, Mike?
Yeah. Well, I think the pictures they're not fake, but I think they're old dummy models that have been floating around for a long time.
Okay.
The smart connector thing, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it seems like the most recent legitimate leaks, or the ones that are most believable, don't have the smart connector. So I think these are just kind of remnants of maybe prototype moldings or castings that Apple had floating around, 6 months ago or something, and they're just, people just keep recycling them over and over again.
So the short version is the dual camera, we believe. The smart connector, shaky.
Yeah, and also it's worth noting that the printing on the back of these latest photos are dissimilar. One, I think the smaller 4.7-inch version, the font is a bit thicker than the one on the 5.5-inch casing. So I'm certain one or both of those is fake. That does not mean that the case itself is fake. It just means that, this not a final product. It's a casting or a mold taken from a mold of what will likely be the shipping product.
Right.
So it's a mock-up.
Let me ask you a different question, right? We've talked about this before a little bit, where we've said that clearly there's a 4.7-inch model, and that clearly there's going to be a plus-sized model, and that traditionally the plus-sized models have better cameras, but now we have this dual camera thing. So are there 3 phones here that we're talking about, or 2 phones?
It's 2.
You just think strongly that there are going to be 2 models, not 3 versions?
Yeah, I don't think Apple would. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think Apple is going to further muddy their lineup and introduce yet another iPhone model into the mix. I think they might have been thinking about it early on, like having, a single camera, 4.7 and 5.5, and then have like a step-up model with a dual camera for the 5.5. So like one 4.7 and then two 5.5 models. And the only reason I would think that they would do that is because of supply constraints on the camera modules. But it seems from the latest, analyst notes and stuff that the supply chain is ramping up well enough that they can offer the dual camera 5.5 inch version just as as the
model
only, as the 7 Plus or whatever they're going to call it. So I'm guessing 7 Plus. And to me, it makes the larger model just, it gives it that extra sauce that would make customers like me who don't want a larger screen actually consider picking one up, because I don't like the 5.5 inch screen. It's too big for me.
Did you
the
own
form
one?
factor is just I tried it. I tried it with the 6. I tried it with the 6S. I still can't get used to it because it's just too big for me. I can't carry it comfortably.
So you have tiny baby hands?
Yes, like Donald Trump.
Which is probably the only thing you share in common with that gentleman.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't fit in my pants pockets. Well, I wear a lot of board shorts. It sticks out. Risk of falling out is high. So it's not a form factor that suits my lifestyle. But if the camera is so much greater, I don't know exactly what they're going to do with the dual lens system, which is another thing we can talk about. But if it's something that is groundbreaking, earth shattering, then it would. I would consider trying it again for the third time. But we'll see. I don't know.
Well, I mean, is the iPhone your only camera?
Yeah, it's my main camera. Yeah, I mean, I don't carry around my other cameras with me. It is my default go-to shooter.
Right. And so knowing that, you may as well get the good one, right?
Yeah. Of course, at this point, it's not like the 7 camera, which is going to be a step up from the 6S camera. It's not like it's a bad camera.
No.
It's a good camera.
Well, even the camera in the 4.7 inch models, that is the lowly camera, the camera that doesn't have the optical image stabilization or any of these other features, is still a quite good camera.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like you're carrying a subpar piece of kit around with you. It's a good camera, but it's not the best.
Right.
Right.
Now, I'm going to get the large model for the first time. I've always had the 6. I've had this 4.7 inch screen. I'm going to get the 5.5 inch one.
Sight unseen?
So, well, I mean, I've seen them around, but yeah, I haven't used one for any length of time.
But why though? Because of the dual camera?
Well, definitely because of the dual camera, and also I was traveling the week that you and Neil did the cast. Mm-hmm. I was in Tel Aviv, Israel, and rather than switch my SIMs out and put in a foreign SIM into my iPhone, which I've done in the past, I carried with me a Nexus 6P. And I did that because I could keep a regular SIM in my iPhone, keep my iPhone going as it was, and then also have the other phone work with the local network. And also the Nexus has USB-C, which charges brilliantly. If you're using an iPhone and you need to recharge your iPhone, you can expect that it will take some time. With USB-C, charging for 11 minutes resulted in 2 hours of talk time. Or charging for 2 hours meant the phone was fully charged for a full day's worth of use.
Yep.
It was brilliant. Fast charging is a very good thing. And having the Nexus with its large screen was really beautiful. So what I'm saying is that the larger screen is very beautiful, and on Android that was okay, although on Android, as we know, you give up a little bit to the controls bar, the soft controls at the bottom of the screen. So using an iPhone, I'd get the full use of the screen to be even better. That's where I'm going with that. So we think that there are 2 models at this time. That's what we're saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the headphone jack. You groaned there. Why?
No. It is what it is.
That's very Zen-like of you. So the question is, will they put a headphone adapter in the box along with traditional 3.5 mic and headphones?
I'm not sure. Yeah, or are they going to just put the Lightning headphones?
Right. And I've been thinking a lot about this, and I've been thinking about it, and I want you to tell me if I'm right or wrong. You tell me what you think about how I'm thinking about this. So if they put the adapter and the old headphones in the box, that's kind of an admission that removing it is crippling in a way, and they have to give you something else in order to give you everything you need to use the thing. That feels kind of un-Apple-like.
Yeah.
Right? So it seems to me that what they do is give you the phone, give you the charging brick, give you the cable, and give you Lightning earpods.
Yeah.
Right? These are the essential items that you need in order to use the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. And if you need to use legacy headphones, as it were, then you go buy an adapter.
Yeah.
That feels a lot more like the way Apple does things, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, Apple doesn't do anything in half measures, right? They're not going to remove the headphone jack and give you a headphone that is not compatible with
that would be
with the phone, and give it and add an adapter, being like, oh hey,
here you go.
By the way.
Well, I mean, the way of thinking about this is the 12-inch MacBook, right?
Mm-hmm.
12-inch MacBook, thin laptop, ships with 2 ports on it, a USB-C port and a headphone port.
Yeah.
And the USB-C port is for charging the laptop as well as plugging in things and charging other stuff. But they don't give you any adapters to plug in and charge other stuff. You need to have either a special cable, the USB-C to Lightning cable, or you have to have the a USB-C to USB-A or a hub or something to adapt, right? And they'll happily sell you that stuff, but it's not in the box because you don't need to have it.
Yeah. No.
Necessarily.
No. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to come with the Lightning headphones.
I'm putting my foot down and I'm saying it's coming with the Lightning headphones.
Yeah, no doubt. If indeed, which it looks more and more likely that they're going to remove the headphone jack, they're going to include a pair of Lightning headphones, not the AirPods, because that would be cost
just
prohibitive.
the cheap ones.
Yeah, and they'll offer a bunch of accessories for people who are later going to complain about having to buy the accessories.
I mean, if you have a pair of Beats headphones, go buy your adapter. If you have Bang & Olufsen headphones, go buy your adapter. If you have the Bowers & Wilkins P7s, go buy an adapter.
I mean, this is how you affect change, right? You don't change formats, and
you don't get to the future by half measures. If you want to get to the future,
you have to go all in.
You just do it. Here you go.
Yeah. So the adapter thing we've seen the adapter, Well,
there are a number of manufacturers that are going to be making adapters. Yeah. Let's just
we saw the Apple supposedly the Apple version, which I don't know if I believe that.
Right. We saw a picture purporting to be an Apple Lightning to headphone adapter, and you can guess, right? Third parties are going to do something like this too, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not incredibly simple, but I mean, it's a fairly straightforward. It's a fairly straightforward switch if you don't include the.
Well, I mean, it's not
if you're not going to go the DAC route.
Well, I mean, you still have to include parts, right? It's not like any of this stuff comes for free. You have to have a Lightning port. You have to have the audio bits. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
These adapters, just prepare yourself, people. These adapters are not going to be cheap.
Yeah, they're not going to be the USB-A to USB-C adapter, 35 cents hardware you're going to find on Amazon.
Well, but if you look at the other adapters that Apple sells, right? The digital AV adapter for Lightning, that is not a cheap adapter.
No.
Right? What's that cost?
$40 or something?
It's I thought it was a little more than that, but it's $49.
Yeah, it's up there.
Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to cost that much, if only because the demand for it would be so high. They could lower the price on it a bit.
I don't. I don't think so, right? Think about it like this. These things cost what they cost because there's a bill of materials, right? All of the parts inside cost things, and all of those things add up. Plus, on top of that, there's engineering costs, and there's non-recoverable stuff like, well, the non-recoverable engineering costs. There's also the tooling costs for molding the plastic, right? So everything has a cost, and then you have to ship it to land it somewhere, right? So there's a freight on board cost or a landed cost. So it has to come landed somewhere. And then from that, you know that everyone along the way that sells it has to make margin, right?
Yeah.
There's distributors, there's retailers, there's you have to make money on it or you're not going to sell it.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I'm thinking
all of this
that
adds
Apple,
up. And so it's not like the only solutions here are either make stuff that costs less or tell people to make less margins, which they're not going to do because then they won't sell it.
I could see Apple sacrificing a bit, like a couple percent of their margin just to satisfy customers if the outrage was, high enough. And it seems like everyone's losing their mind over this for some reason.
I don't think so. I mean, what's going to happen practically is that people will buy it or they won't. And people will buy an iPhone or they won't. And if the numbers drop because of that, then maybe they'll adjust based on those numbers. But they're not going to just react based on what will seem like limited outrage.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Am I mistaken?
No, I agree.
Okay. So at this time, we're thinking there are two models, and we think that there's no adapter in the box, that you're just going to get the Lightning earbuds, and you'll use them in good health because that's what's available.
Yeah. That is what I think. And maybe I don't think the AirPods, the so-called AirPods, I don't know if they're going to be coming out this year. I could see it coming out next year.
When you say AirPods, you mean the higher
wireless
AirPods?
Yeah, the Apple branded wireless earbuds. I just don't.
Yeah.
Some people have been theorizing that Apple is going to market it as a Beats product. Then, I mean, who knows? But I have a feeling that it's not coming out this year because I think that would be a bit too much.
Right. Now,
it would stymie the effort to push Lightning headphones when you can, get a wireless version, right? They want to.
But that's going to happen anyway, Mike. You right? Bluetooth headphones are not a new thing,
right? But I mean, that kind of it skips over the whole Lightning thing. They want
right, but
to
that's
push
going to happen
Lightning
anyway.
I don't know.
Isn't it? I mean,
I don't know. We'll see.
Bluetooth exists. It is a thing.
Yes, it does. But I mean, for a lot of people, it doesn't because performance is spotty. I mean, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot better than it was, back in the Stone Ages when you had to pair your device multiple times to even get it to work, and then you put your device in the pocket and you lose your connection. It's not. Right, it's a lot better. Quality's a lot better, but still, I mean, the battery life is not there yet. I mean, it's a minuscule device, right? It's a pair of headphones, and squeezing the amount of juice needed to operate a radio and your DAC and all that good stuff, it's not there yet for a lot of people. I mean, some people go on runs that are they'll outlast their headphones if they rely on that.
What I like about connecting by Lightning is the same thing I like about connecting by Lightning in car with CarPlay. Right, there were a bunch of people when we started reviewing CarPlay units for AppleInsider. Mm-hmm. There were a bunch of people that were really annoyed that it wasn't wireless.
Yeah,
and we still haven't seen our first wireless CarPlay unit yet. I'm really happy connecting by Lightning because I just plug it in and it works reliably every single time. Mm-hmm. Right,
and you need that if you're going to do an infotainment system or some sort of integrated automotive thing. You need it to work every time. It's not, It's okay. It just got, just disconnected for no apparent reason. You need that to work all the time, especially if you're using it for GPS purposes or whatever. It becomes a safety issue at some point. Apple knows what they're doing.
You think?
Yeah.
You pretty sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be an A10 processor possibly powering the so-called iPhone 7.
Mm-hmm. Oh, before we move on, I just remembered I think it was a Fortune, or I don't know, some publication caught wind of Apple's wireless headphone project, saying that they're working on efficient Bluetooth chipset that will greatly increase efficiency. But it sounds like they're not at the manufacturing stage yet.
Right. And I was talking with Neil about this the other day. He and I were going back and forth about this. There are only so many places you can increase the efficiency. Right. You can optimize the amount of data or the type of data that's going back and forth across the wireless medium. Uh-huh. Right. You can try and do things in order to optimize for battery life, either by using a less intensive processor or turning down the power to the radios, or by putting in memory and buffering data to the memory so you can sleep some of the CPU. Mm-hmm. Right? There are different approaches to it. What he was suggesting and what others have suggested to me is that there's Bluetooth 5 as a standard coming, and that Apple may be doing something with that. Audio streaming has traditionally been an intensive operation for Bluetooth. It's not a low energy operation; it's a full on operation. But if there's optimization for that in the spec, then they'll be taking advantage of that.
Right. Well, they're supposedly using the tech from that acquisition of the I forget. Let me check on the chipset maker that they're talking about. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I can't think of it right now.
Anyway, I think beyond a standard, they're going to do some sort of mojo with the some sort of chip efficiency. However, that works out.
And I'm anxious to see how they do it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It again, it doesn't seem like it's close to being ready for production. So that's why I'm guessing next year. Maybe they'll finish the tech early next year. They'll finalize the hardware and stuff, and then they could wait and start shipping when next year's iPhone comes out. The old 10th anniversary.
Yes, indeed. Now, we also got, like I said, some leaks about the A10 processor, and we also saw a leaked image of an unpopulated motherboard. And these things are what they sound like, right? You get pictures and you look at them and you go, well, they're very cool, but what do we actually do with that? And the answer is not a whole lot. I mean, you can kind of with an unpopulated board, you can get a sense of where things are going and about the size of the packages, but you can't really tell anything the same way you can if you have populated chips that have part numbers on them that you can then figure out what's inside and what they are and what they're doing. Yeah.
I always found leaks like this to be highly boring. It's, it's there.
Oh, Mikey, you're so excitable.
Well, the iPhone's going to have a processor. It's probably going to look largely similar to the current version. It's going to have a logic board that is largely similar to the current version. It's going to have a bunch of hardware on it, largely similar to the current version. And a picture showing me, what could be just relabeled current hardware is not very exciting for me.
Okay.
That it exists. I know it exists. I don't need to have... it's not exciting for me to see a picture of it. But, if it was like an uncapped A10, that'd be cool.
Right.
I get excited about that.
Definitely.
Because I don't know. They're always surprising with the A series chips. I would like to see what the core arrangement is this year. I would assume it's going to be at least for the larger 5.5 inch version, have some sort of advanced image processing module on it, which is going to be interesting because this year they used the same A10 chip for both, right? 6S and 6S Plus. So are they, because of the dual camera module, are they going to have a variation on the A10 chip for the 5.5 inch that has a buffed image processing unit? Who knows?
Good question.
Who knows?
What do you think about this idea of a pressure-sensitive home button?
It's cool if they can get it to work. I kind of like, I like the feeling of having a physical button. I always liked that part of the iPhone.
So, Mikey, let's stop talking about iPhone for a minute because we all know what's going to happen. And the short version is we agreed there are 2 models and they're shipping Lightning earbuds with it and no adapter in the box. That's the short version. We talk about motherboard, we talk about processor, all the cool stuff, but Watch 2, right? Do you wear your Apple Watch?
Not as much as I used to.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just I just kind of fell out of habit of wearing it.
Try the beta on it? Did you put beta 3 on it?
No, I didn't. Although, no, I did, but I haven't been wearing it extensively, so haven't really gotten a chance to test it out.
Okay. When the stuff updates officially, when there's the general release coming, I want for you to go ahead and update and see what you think of it.
Indeed I will.
Good. Now, there are, of course, rumors that Watch 2 is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's in those rumors?
Well, rumor is that it's going to be 2 models. So they're going to have like a Watch 1, which is the current watch, like an updated version of that with just a basic hardware refresh inside, probably faster processor, and they're going to have what some people are calling a Watch 2, which would be a step-up version. It's going to look pretty much the same as the current one, but it's going to also have GPS and perhaps a barometer and other sensors that help with location accuracy.
Yeah.
And then Watch 3, people are they're wondering about LTE and all that good stuff, and supposedly that's coming maybe at the soonest 2017, probably more like 2018 though.
So not this refresh, but another refresh following it.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Now, help me out here, because there was also a rumor about a totally new health device.
Uh-huh.
What is? I'm just trying to figure out, because the watch for me has always been Apple's health device. Right. This has been their fitness, their activity, their heart, and it's been also a part of greater things, including the sort of research kit kind of thing too.
Yeah. Well, I think Apple's actual health strategy is not so much hardware as it is software. We haven't really seen that come to fruition yet, but watch is just one facet of is a cog in a larger health machine, and I think that machine is data aggregation or secure data aggregation and sharing with healthcare providers. Yeah. And interpretation, yeah. So it's like their first. Obviously, it's the most apparent thing to consumers because it's a device, something you can touch, you can hold, and purchase. But I think the real product here is health kit and the offshoot care kit and research kit.
Right.
So I think those are the real strategies that Apple's working at.
Right, but do we think there's a new device? Do we think there's a cracking device?
I mean, that's the rumor, and I mean, I guess you could have a whole litany of healthcare devices, right? The Apple Watch 2 rumor said that the 2, the second generation one, not the not the update of the first one, which is supposedly a separate product, but the second generation is supposed to have sensors that Apple's working toward getting approval from the FDA for as a actual health medical tracking device. So it's coming on that accuracy, right? It's reaching that level. As for the new undisclosed, unannounced, and rumored product, I'm sure they have a whole bunch of stuff in the works. I wouldn't put too much weight behind this rumor. It sounds like it comes from somebody who heard about a prototype or some sort of internal project. Not sure if it's going to actually come to market, but we'll see. I think it all depends on how HealthKit turns out and how many people. It's doing well, successful, but Apple does need to get the healthcare providers on their team, so to speak. They need to get the backing of those professionals, because it's hard for a consumer. It's like you're marketing a smartphone and a smartwatch, but it's hard to cross paths with, or it's hard to commingle those products with, say, like something you would pick up from behind the counter at your local pharmacy. Controlled.
I think you're a little mistaken in that, with one exception, pretty much every doctor that I've gone to in the past 5 years has carried an iPhone. Mm-hmm. Right? They're all familiar with the device, and they're familiar with what it's capable of doing, mm-hmm. both on its own and in combination with other products. The difficulty, I think, lies not in doctors adopting the device or adopting what it can do. It's in the health back-end stuff, the medical recording systems and other things like that.
Well, they do have some agreements with I forget what the major digital records provider, one of the major ones. But no, I'm not saying that they're having a problem adopting. I'm saying the consumer perception of purchasing a health monitoring device from Apple. Apple's a consumer products company. They're not known. They're not like a.
I feel like we're past that a little bit. When you can go into Target, and in the health section of the CVS pharmacy in Target, and there's the Omron blood pressure cuff, and then there's the one that works with your iPhone right next to it. Mm-hmm. That sort of perception problem is kind of gone. We're past that.
No, I don't think it is, because Omron's still making those products. Apple, what people are rumoring or they're speculating is that Apple wants to create products like that. Like the products that would replace a cuff, or
I would be skeptical of that, because it's sort of not something Apple's taken on.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Apple doesn't make the accessories around the thing; they make the thing that's the hub.
I know, but we're talking about the supposed prototype, right?
Well, all right then.
I'm just saying that it would be
it's a weird rumor.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of thing. I don't know if Apple would go into that immediately, because it seems like a low margin kind of niche, very niche area. But if they want to build out their health offering, they're going to.
They're working on things that benefit everyone, and then adapting them for everyone, like to what the wheelchair access kind of things, the wheelchair activities in watchOS 3.
Yeah. So it has to serve a larger purpose. Whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely.
And, so we'll see.
In related news, Apple hired Flipboard co-founder Evan Dahl to direct work on health software. So Flipboard was one of the original iPad apps, and Flipboard was a newsreader, but it had an amazing interface at the time.
It did.
Right? And where is Flipboard today?
I don't know. Do they still exist?
Barely. The point is that Flipboard was a beautiful app, but it was kind of it wasn't a company, it was a product, right?
Mm-hmm. They tried to turn it into a platform, but that did not work out.
It didn't really work very well. So Evan's been hanging out at Redpoint Ventures for the past couple of months, and suddenly and quietly, his LinkedIn changed to reflect that he's now at Apple and now working on health software. And I think this is cool because, well, good for Evan, but it also means that he's working on improving the interfaces, I hope, for some of the health software, which sorely needed.
Oh, it's so bad. But yeah, I mean, it is bad.
Let me say this. I like that Apple Health exists because I like there being a central point of aggregation of all the data from all the different devices. I'm so tired of devices that store stuff only in their own silos of data and don't share it. Do I ever go to consult Apple Health for information? No.
It seems like an afterthought that they included the health app, and I think if they want the health services to kind of pick up as far as consumers go, they need to put some spit and polish on it, because right now it's not really working out.
Well, there needs to be a reason to engage with it, and currently there is not.
It does work well as the HealthKit API is awesome.
Yes,
of course, and I don't know. Maybe Apple thought that some other companies would step in, like who has a pretty good one?
Well, Withings HealthMate's not bad.
Yeah, and the HealthMate stuff is not. Yeah, it's not.
And Jawbone Up has been good for years.
Yeah, but Jawbone as a company is not doing so well.
Jawbone as a company is about to be bought by someone, but the Up app was one of the very good examples early on.
Yeah, they were one of the first to introduce gamification, right?
That, and also good competition with your friends.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, hasn't been mastered properly by some of the others that are out there now.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to bring that social element of it. No one's really gotten the secret sauce correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if the health app from Apple gets a revamp on the to the tune of something like Apple Music, how it's like rebranding, updating of Beats Music. I think that would really do a lot for the HealthKit brand.
Go a long way to fix it, huh?
Yeah, and I think people would be more engaged in it. They'd use it more. I think it's a good idea to actually focus on that.
Excellent. Well, is there one last thing you'd like to talk about today, or is that all the stories we got?
No, I think that's it. No, I think that's it.
One last thing? No?
No.
No. You're all storied out. Well, This has been the Apple Insider Podcast. Amazing, fantastic, magnificent episode 81. Mikey Campbell, where can people find you on the internet?
At Mikey Campbell 81 on the Twitter and on AppleInsider.com.
All right. Well, I'm Victor Marks. I'm on AppleInsider.com occasionally, and I am on Twitter at VMarks. If Mikey Campbell joins us again next week, we'll tell you all about it here on the Apple Insider Podcast.
All right.